Hello, listeners. This is Kat, and welcome back to Put Your Hands Up Podfics. This is the continuation of the fic See You in the Morning. This will be part 4, chapter 4, entitled Concerned Dadzawa and Emotional Izuku. Izuku had a lot to think about as he walked home from the quirky cafe. He made sure to take a different route than when he nearly got killed in an alleyway. Don't worry. It was after midnight already, but not by much. Which is wherein lies his problem. Midnight coffee meetings. Does he attend it tonight for the first time in a long time? Would Aizawa-sensei even be there, waiting for him after so long? He probably knows Izuku is quirkless by now. Since he was seemingly checking Izuku's file, he probably won't be by the window anyway, so what's the harm in some midnight coffee? The harm is Izuku actually really liked midnight coffees with his dark, tired, cat-loving neighbor. He used to drink coffee at midnight just to function, and his thoughts would get really dark while standing in silence by himself in a mostly bare apartment, drinking from a cheap and chipped gray mug he had gained at some point between the old apartment and this one. But then Izuku had accidentally stared at his neighbor when their coffee habits happened to bring them together at midnight that first night. So the thought of it all being gone now, and having to go back to how it was before, is making his chest feel like someone is making his heart pump glass fragments instead of blood. So what's the harm in confirming the fact that Izuku had lost that part of his life now? That's how Izuku finds himself, covering his eyes as he walks into his apartment building. He doesn't want to see his kitchen window. Not yet. Izuku walks closer to the kitchen, his eyes still covered. He pictures his dark-haired neighbor watching him from the left side of the window, leaning against his counter, sipping from that orange cat mug, one eyebrow raised at Izuku in silent judgment, like he did when Izuku told him he was one time mixing coffee with 2 5-hour energies and sugar. He takes time to savor the image, his eyes still covered as he faces his window. If he never looks, he'll never have to be abandoned by another person. The Eraserhead in Izuku's imagination lifts his brow up even higher, a look of challenging judgment taking over his neighbor's face instead. Wow, even imaginary Aizawa-sensei is judging his abandonment issues. Fine. Taking a deep breath, when he stopped breathing, Izuku takes his hands away from his face, though he keeps his eyes closed. Just one more second. He opens his eyes. There's his neighbor. The man is standing as close to his own kitchen window as he can, his features twisted in some emotion Izuku doesn't have the energy to figure out. The man looks like he was talking before Izuku opened his eyes, but once green eyes meet black, his neighbor seemed to pause. His shoulders sag, and he appears to let out a long breath, and backs away from the window. He didn't leave. He didn't leave. Why didn't he leave? Everyone else had left. His dad, his mom, his friends. The only people who ever not left are the other quirkless people. Though even they sometimes leave, though it's different. They die. But here is his neighbor, now signing something at Izuku, standing in a lit-up kitchen with his orange cat mug set on the counter in front of him. What? The sign is loose, and his hands are shaky. Can you blame him? Oh, Kami, maybe his neighbor doesn't know. You know I'm quirkless, right? Izuku knows he's being rude right now, seeing as he accidentally cut off Aizawa-sensei's signing twice now, but the man doesn't look annoyed at the interruptions. If anything, he just looks sad or resigned. I was saying that I'm glad you finally made it tonight, and yes, I know you're quirkless, but it doesn't matter, quirks are just tools. The man huffs in amusement before continuing as though he wasn't flipping Izuku's entire world on its head. Did you make any friends at school today, kid? It's an abrupt conversation change, but honestly exactly what Izuku needs. He doesn't know how to deal with the warm feelings that were blooming in his chest at his neighbor's words, at his casual acceptance, so he'll talk about his day instead, just like it's a normal midnight coffee meeting. I don't know. Uraraka was nice. I actually met her at the entrance exam. She was pinned under some rubble when the 0-pointer was set free, so we had chatted then, and this morning before you came in, but I don't know if we're friends. She doesn't know that I'm quirkless, so... He lets the sentence trail off, before he perks back up abruptly. Did you make any friends today, Eraser? The man's face, which was before slightly fond or sad-looking, screws up like a cat who just bit into a lemon, making Izuku bark with laughter. He doesn't often mess with his neighbor, but every once in a while should be okay, right? Izuku needs his entertainment, after all. There's no TV in his apartment, so his kitchen window will have to do. You don't make friends as an adult teacher who's been working with the same pupil for the past 5 years, Midori. The man looks exasperated, but Izuku can also see the amusement as Eraserhead shakes his head at Izuku. Which reminds me, kid, you can change your sign name for me, or for you if you ever want, now that we've met in person and actually know each other's names. Before his neighbor even finishes signing, Izuku is shaking his head. I like your sign name. It's funny to me, especially since it's just a piece of your hero name, but it sounds like I'm just calling you an office supply. You know my hero name? Izuku wants to laugh again, at the look on his face. Damn, twice in one night? Though in all fairness, this face is more shock and bewilderment than a cat eating a lemon. Duh. It wasn't that hard to figure out when you told me to call you Eraser, and Midnight and Present Mike were both in your house before that. The shocked look doesn't go away, but he can also see the acceptance of the explanation. Wait, so you knew they were Midnight and Present Mike that night? Izuku shakes his head. Not quite. I knew after I left that they were Present Mike and Midnight, not during. Damn, kid. You're smart to have figured that out at all. Most people can't recognize them out of their hero gear. At that, Izuku doesn't know what to sign. He's not smart. He's average at best. Yes, he's good at analysis and math, but he's never been called smart. Never. Not even Inka would call him smart before she stopped talking to him altogether. If you say so. With that, Izuku chugs the last mouthful of his coffee, waves goodbye, and leaves Eraser. He's tired as fuck, so, even with coffee fresh in his veins, the second his head hits the pillow, Izuku is out. Shota watches the kid flick off his kitchen light and leave, hopefully to sleep if the kid's eye bags and sagging shoulders are any indication of his exhaustion. Maybe Shota should tell the kid to ask Recovery Girl for something to help him sleep? Maybe. Though he'd probably get called a dad again by Murray, if she ever heard about it, which she's definitely going to, considering Shota knows her and Recovery Girl go to dinners together and chat nearly every Wednesday. The kid seemed a lot friendlier now than when Shota was near him at school after their first real conversation, but why? What's the difference? Also, where was he before he came home? It's after midnight. Maybe he was at a friend's place. Also, what was happening with the kid covering his face when he first came in? Midori had stood in his lit-up kitchen for a good 10 minutes before taking his hands from his face, only to literally keep his eyes closed. It honestly scared the shit out of Shota, especially when before he couldn't see his face, he was scared the kid had been hurt or something. Then Kami that nothing like that was the case from what he could tell. Did the little listener come by yet? He turns to look at his husband, smiling cautiously at Shota before glancing at the empty kitchen window. Yeah, he just left a minute ago. Gave me a heart attack at first. I thought he was hurt. Wouldn't take his hands away from his face for a good 10 minutes or so. Was he okay? I mean, I'm assuming he's okay since you're still standing here, not over at the other apartment building demanding a key to the little listener's place, but... Yeah, he seemed fine. Though out of it at first. Well, that's good at least. Hopefully some sleep will help with whatever else is going on with the listener. Yeah. There's a pause where the couple just look at each other before Azashi takes a deep breath and walks over toward him, pulling Shota into a hug. They stay like that for a while, just soaking up each other's heat and presence. It had been a long day. Now, come on, Sho. It's late, and you don't have patrol tonight. Let's get some sleep. Okay, Zashi. All right, listeners, this concludes Chapter 4 of See You in the Morning. Chapter 5 will be next. I hope you all are still enjoying this fic. Let me know your thoughts and reactions, and as always, thank you so much for listening.